Stage 8. I'm going to start with a little Tour de France story. I've been following the Tour de France, I guess, since Greg LeMond won in '86. He was the first American to ever win the Tour de France. He didn't race in '87 due to a hunting accident, but I followed the '87 Tour de France very closely. And Stephen Roche was an Irishman who was having a great year. An Irishman has never won the Tour. And he was in a very tight race the entire time against the Spaniard Pedro Delgado. And Pedro Delgado was a mountain specialist. Stephen Roche was pretty much an overall specialist. He can pretty much do everything. So one of the final stages was up this historic mountain called Alpe d'Huez. And all Stephen Roche had to do was follow Delgado's wheel, and he would have had the Tour de France locked up. And that's all he had to do. There was a time trial stage left. Stephen Roche is a better time trialist. So this was Delgado's last chance. And Alpe d'Huez is tough. And what happened was that gap opened up between Delgado and Stephen Roche. And Delgado rode away from him. And there's this video, you can find it on YouTube, where Stephen Roche literally rides himself to the point of sheer exhaustion, crosses a line, limited his damage, collapses. I think he lost maybe 30 seconds. I'm not sure. But it was enough to probably let him win the lead back in the time trial the next day, I believe it was. But there's that image I always remembered. It's always been kind of burned into my mind of Roche just collapsing after that finish at Alpe d'Huez. And he ended up going to the hospital and got the time back in the time trial, and he won the '87 Tour de France. So this Tour de Cancer for me, guess I can look at it like that was me. You know, I was in a hospital, and somehow in the race of life, I guess you could call it, I was still in the race. I was on the starting line for this next phase, which was getting back from the hospital, recovering, still have a chance. You always have a chance, right? I was very weak. I couldn't even go up the stairs without crawling. So what's next? Well, Dr. Portnoy found a FDA-approved cancer oral pill for epithelioid sarcoma. So we were giving this a shot. It was super expensive medication. It was, 8 pills a day or something crazy like that. It just seemed like the best option. Chemo, I was way too weak for that. If you're wondering why chemo, really there was no other options left. The only thing we can really do at this point was to manage it. Surgery is not an option. There are too many of them. I'm not quite sure how I felt about this. Now that I think back, the sepsis, the rhabdomyolysis, the near-death experience kind of took my mind off of the fact that I had incurable cancer, which might have been a good thing, because mentally, probably as down as you can get when I got that news. So maybe this was a distraction. I'm not sure. There's no sense, and nothing was really happening. They were slowly growing, not at an exorbitant rate, but which is discouraging. Meanwhile, I was gaining my strength back, though. I was really surprising all of my doctors. My kidney doctor, Dr. Amin, who really, I have to credit Dr. Amin for saving my life, really. My kidneys were going to kill me, and he really did all the right things as far as dialysis goes, as far as monitoring me, keeping my wife up to date. I had to go to dialysis during this time period until my kidneys got back to normal, which is not a fun experience. It's very cold, lasts many hours. I'd have to go a few times a week, and fingers crossed, get to a point where I wouldn't need dialysis anymore. Felt fortunate that I actually had a chance to get off of dialysis and not be on dialysis the rest of my life. So, I guess there are little things like this that were distracting from the overall problem, which is the lung cancer. All being considered, it was just nice again to be home, to actually be able to walk, talk, see my kids, see my wife. So what did we do next? Stay tuned. Stage 9. Let's go!